I was 13 years old when I stopped trick or treating. The other kids were no longer eager to give up free candy, but something happened to me last year. Something awful. My friends Owen, Drew, and I were out trekking for candy when we came across a house that had a bowl full of candy. It was just sitting on the porch. A sign above it read, "Please just take one." We joked about swiping it all, but Owen and Drew only took a few each, enough to make them feel like badass kids. I had always been afraid to just take more than just one because was imitated by authority. Sure, it was just a sign, and it usually meant that the owner wasn't home. But I was a timid kid who always did what he was told. Owen and Drew explained that how a house did the same thing every year, and people who rarely saw the guy who lived there, they dared me to do what they were doing or were too chicken too. So I decided to see what it felt like to do something naughty. We looked around to make sure no one was watching, and I poured the contents of the bowl into my bag. All three of us ran down the street laughing and shoving each other. Part of me expected someone to chase after us. In hindsight, I was right to be concerned. At Owen's house, we dumped out all sorts of our yummy treasures. I tried to offer him and Drew some of the contraband candy, but they refused. I remember Owen saying, "That's all you, dude." And Drew was shouting, "I don't want your tainted treats." Granted, they weren't entirely serious, but I was so annoyed that they weren't even sharing in responsibility. Enough to go home instead of sleeping over. That night, I was torn from a sugar-fueled dream by a hand covering my mouth and a knife to my neck. The skin was rough and the blade was ice cold. It was just slightly pressing to my skin, ready to slit my throat at the moment's notice. My body went stiff. I wanted to scream, but then a gruff voice whispered, "Don't you make a frickin' sound." At first I didn't realize what was happening. Were we being burglarized? Then I got my answer. "Can't you read, you little shit? The sign said just one. Just fucking one." I'll never forget those words and the sickening smell of his breath. He went on to explain how every year he would catch kids taking 2 or 3 pieces of candy, which always infuriated him. It wasn't until I took the entire bowl and finally snapped, "Why did you do something stupid?" I was so terrified and humiliated at the same time. "You like candy, you little shit?" he asked me. I shook my head as much as I, despite his hand pressing my face. Then he removed it, still holding the knife to my neck. He proceeded to shove the unwrapped candy into my mouth. I tried not to inhale, but I couldn't help it. I could feel it pushing against the back of my throat as I whimpered and drooled. I started to gag, but then he put his hand back over my mouth so I wouldn't cough anything up. I truly believe I was going to die, and I feared for my friends as well. My life short flash quickly flew before my eyes. All I could think about at that moment was, how could an adult hate children this much? Everything I presumed about them was uncertainly a lie. But they weren't inflatable, and their authority wasn't always the law. Fine, so I took all this guy's candy. Did I really deserve to die? As I contemplated this for the first time, expecting to suffocate to death, my father rushed me to the room, grabbed my metal desk chair, and beat the deadlights out of that guy. I never loved my dad so much as I did that night. I'm an adult now, and I live alone in a nice house on a quiet street with lots of kids. Every Halloween, I leave a basket on the front step, full of candy with a sign that says, "Take as many as you want." Well, my pretties, that was Please Just Take Just One, a Halloween creepypasta written by Umbrello. My final thoughts on this story. This is a pretty good pasta. I really like the fact that, this is involving someone taking like a lot of the whole Halloween bowl, and they have a nightmare of, this guy getting angry with the kid for taking more than just one piece of candy when the sign clearly says take one. Now, when I was trick-or-treating years ago, I have seen a couple signs that say just take one. It's either sometimes the person is like, busy or something, but they really don't really pay attention if people just take more than one piece of candy. Now, take it from the fact that this has happened to a lot of people, and I have seen people put out their bowls with that sign out. But, in my honest opinion, I think I did that maybe 1 year or something. But instead, I just leave the bowl there for, people just to take as much as they want. Like, in a sense. Now, I normally hand out candy now, so that obviously changes a lot of things. But I really gotta say, this story was honestly a really well-made story. I honestly really love how it's well made, as well as the concept, the grammar, everything about it. Flat out amazing. Just flat out amazing. I really enjoyed this story. I thought it was awesome. It's definitely well made, and I definitely really found a lot of enjoyability of this story, to which is why this story definitely is a good one. Yes, I know it's short, but I definitely have to say it's a pretty good story, especially with the whole fact that the story honestly was pretty good. So, anyways, I guess with that being the case, and with that being said, I'm gonna sit here and say it's a good story. I definitely will have to say it's a well-made story. It's definitely a pretty awesome creepypasta. It's really awesome, well-made, and I definitely gotta say it's a really good story. So, yeah, anyways, like I'm just gonna say, I can't really say anything of, what I did not like about this story, but I can definitely say that, well, it's a really great creepypasta, especially with the fact that since I'm reading some Halloween creepypastas now, it's still a really well-made story. It's awesome. Definitely a lot of time and effort into these stories, so, and I could definitely say right now, I recommend reading this one. So yeah, I'm sorry I'm lost for words right now. I just can't believe how well made this story is. So it's definitely a pretty awesome story, and I recommend you guys read this story if you haven't, and I recommend you take a look at it. So anyways, with that being the case, with that being said, yeah, like I'm saying, this is just simply my own personal opinion. And if you disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is just simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story is definitely a 10 out of 10. It's still a good story. It's well made in detail. Definitely fun to do. And I do find this story to be, pretty fun and really well made, and I honestly do find this story to be a really great story, especially for Halloween. I know there's other ones, but yeah, I definitely gotta say it's a really well made creepypasta. So, anyways, I guess with that being the case, and with that being said, yeah, what did you guys personally think of this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications to when it uploads. That way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro, because I'm out of here, and I'll see you all next time.